Hey everybody, Stephanie here, and this is exploration number. I'm on the wrong one. Give me 1 second. This should be exploration number 5 for EDLD 7372. And in this exploration, I chose exploration number 13 from our book on collecting type. And I chose this one because I've always enjoyed fonts and finding new fonts to use, especially in my presentations. And I thought this would be a fun exploration to see all of the fonts that I would collect over a few days in my life. And just so you know, exploration number 13 is called Collecting Type, and it aims to have you document lettering you found out in the world and take notes about where and when you found the samples. So mine started with seeing the old Pflugerville water tower, and it got a refresh, and I hadn't noticed until I was driving by the Starbucks where the water tower is like placed behind. And I am living for this new font. It is so much fun. It is not boring. You can see it from super far away. I love it. My second font I collected was the new iPad mini box that the iPad comes in. It says mini in this brush/cursive font. And at first, it took me a while to see that it actually says the word mini because you really have to pay attention to it. And when I saw the dots, I saw that it actually saw mini. So I loved this font and I really want to find it and use it. I also really like the super cute cursive font that greets me when I turned on my new iPad. I wish we had an app kind of like where you can hold it up and listen to music to find what the song is. I wish we had something like that but for fonts. I also wanted to document, is it just me or do the city population signs look a lot like the Lex and Deca font? And if you don't already know, Lex and Deca is a font that was made specifically for people with dyslexia, and it keeps everything in line for them. It makes reading a lot easier for those people who have dyslexia, and so it's one of my favorite fonts because of that. I was really disappointed because I had the 2023 Conference Planning Committee meeting last week, and our name badges had really bland, boring fonts. But then I went to North Texas Teen Book Festival this past weekend, and their Endless Stories logo is a really pretty cursive font. So I had to take a picture of that. And then it was weird because they had a big lit kind of sign on the wall when you were going up the escalator that said North Texas Teen Book Festival. But their font was really bland, but I assume that it's for accessibility. And then this sign was a combo of the two fonts, and this was during a panel on epic thrillers. So if you can't already tell, I really like cursive fonts. And so I saw this one for a Quirky Crate box, and it was an ad on TikTok. And so I thought this was a really cute font to make sure I document. And I also wanted to remember to buy this box because I think it's going to be really fun. And then our school secretary has a cursive font on her door. And I thought it was really funny because our students don't know how to read cursive, or most of them don't anyway. So I thought it was interesting that she chose a cursive font where it wouldn't be accessible to very many students. So now we're going to get to my reflection. I chose this particular exploration because, like I said, I love fonts. I'm a weirdo. I've always been really interested in typefaces used in books and how they get created or decided upon. And so I thought it would be a fun exploration to see all of the fonts that I could collect over a couple days. I'm also one of those people that would really like to know why Android people get to change their fonts on their phone and iPhone people don't. As for applying this particular exploration to a study in your particular research area, I would really like to know how fonts influence what we think and how we learn. And so I just put in type fonts in Engine Orange, and I got some really cool search results. So I got one about text cover steganography using font color of the invisible characters and optimized primary color intensities, exploring font independent features for scene text recognition, large scale font independent Urdu text recognition, and the influence of text rotation, font, and distance on legibility in VR. So because I work in education, because I was a teacher, I know that fonts allow for more accessibility depending on where and when you're using it, and they can change how screen readers read and interpret information for learners using accessibility tools. But I didn't think of how a font can influence VR, so I thought that was really interesting. And I also thought it was really interesting that there are actual people who are weirdos like me who are studying fonts. And so I think in my someday to research list, I would really like to study fonts. This exploration felt like it made me more aware of the street signs and like billboards and things that I don't normally pay attention to, especially like like posters in our hallways. Not the ones the students make, I always see those, but just like the random posters, like the motivational posters and the things that our admin team puts around the school. Like it made me just pay a little more attention to see if it influenced how I thought, if it influenced how I saw something in the hallway, and especially made me think about like billboards are kind of like a detriment, because if you're paying attention to a billboard and you're not paying attention to the road, you can cause an accident. And in our hallway, we have so much to look at that it almost makes me worry that kids are going to walk into each other. And I'm in a middle school, and tensions are high right now because we're almost at spring break, and I feel like it could start a fight. We've had a lot of fights this week, so I just worry that like if a kid's paying attention to something they shouldn't be, or they're paying more attention to something than it needs, they're gonna walk into someone else and start a fight. It also made me wonder how our brains interpret fonts and if they have an influence on our feelings like colors do. So when I was little, I learned about how like Burger King uses orange and McDonald's uses red. And kitchens are usually in like reds and oranges and yellows and those kind of colors because they influence hunger and they make you think about food. And hospitals are usually blues and greens and whites and beiges because they're soothing colors. And so it made me wonder if fonts can affect us the way colors do. Again, this exploration made me a lot more interested in the science behind fonts. And like I said, I would really like to study fonts. A question that I had about this, though, is I know for almost everything we write, because of APA, we have to use either Times New Roman or Arial. But could that be extended to including fonts that enhance accessibility, such as Lex and Deca? Because I use Lex and Deca in everything outside of our program, anything that's not an assignment, because it is more accessible for my students with dyslexia, and because I have a husband and a stepdaughter who are dyslexic. So just wondering these things, just thinking. And this, oh, I need to edit this, but this exploration definitely made me more aware of what typefaces and fonts people are using, as well as asking questions like, again, about can we use other fonts even though it's not allowed in APA? Can we change our font in our dissertation? How do publishers decide what fonts to use in books, like the Harry Potter font? Like, who decides these things? And also, like, why certain apps only allow certain fonts. So if you're on Instagram or TikTok, you know that there's only certain fonts you can use in stories or in videos, and Instagram only allows a certain font in captions, as well as Facebook. So just that made me wonder more things about fonts. So I hope that you enjoyed this reflection about my kind of over interest in fonts, and I hope everybody has a great day. Bye.